every single person in the team that has worked together to make this a reality. And of course, thank you to every single person on this call today that has taken out time from their busy schedule to self develop, to add some layers of information to your growth. And I believe that you will be better off for um, attending this session. So, like Alfred mentioned, the topic that we're going to be considering today, or the area of discussion today, is becoming a technical recruiter. How do I become a technical recruiter? What does it actually mean to be a technical recruiter? What does it take to be a technical recruiter? And of course, the big fish, which is how, right? Because at the end of the day, how is the real deal, is what we actually want to know, is what will actually help us become, right? So that's what the session is about. I would have loved to take a demography to sort of know the type of people that we have on the call today, this afternoon, evening, or morning, depending on where you're joined from. Okay, Alfred, I see your hand raised.
Yes, so we can do that. It's just like telling people just to introduce themselves, and we can see their name. Just mention your name
Okay,
and your
so
current role. It's just like a
fantastic. So,
1 second thing.
awesome. So I'm going to do that in. Okay, Let's just go ahead with that. Just your name and what you do. If you're currently working, your role. If you are a student, um, just state that you're a student. If you are in between jobs, just state that you are in between jobs. That means you're expecting a role. You don't currently have a role. What else? If you own your company, you can also mention that you own your company. So, Grace, you can go first. And if you can't respond vocally, you can type it in the chat box. Grace Henry. I guess Grace is not able to speak. Rachel, have you done Rachel? Okay, let's just use the chat box. I see a lot of.
Hi everyone. Good afternoon.
Yeah, go ahead. Good afternoon.
My name is Okunlabiodun Rachel.
Okay.
In between job presently.
Pardon? Sorry, I didn't get that.
Oh, I said I'm in between jobs
Okay,
presently.
fantastic, fantastic. Thanks for joining us, Rachel. So I
Thank you.
see Sophia David, HR admin intern, Vivian, HR generalist, Marvelous. I didn't see Marvelous's role. Lekon, HRBP, Oluwatosin, HR administrator, Mary, HR professional, Vivian, HR officer, Adewale, assistant manager, TA, Gideon, TA consultant, Ajala Ibrahim. Okay, I know Gideon. I know Gideon. Gideon, yes. TA consultant, Ajala Ibrahim, HR generalist, Banker, Abiodun, HR generalist, David, HR officer, Flora, I didn't say Flora's role, Pamela, HR generalist, Dami, HR generalist, Adeola, sales help desk slash professional service, Esther, HRBP, Rocky Bat, no role, okay, admin HR, then Shukel, Shula, HR generalist. Okay, I think we have Marvelous HR generalist, Tolu HR generalist. Oh, the names keep coming in. We have 43 people on the call already. Wow, interesting. So I think we have more people as HR generalists on the call. I see a couple TA specialists, but I think we have more people as HR generalists. So that would help me to go in depth. So I'm seeing that we don't have too many HR recruiters, specialist recruiters on the call. So I should try to speak more in depth about recruitment as a specialized area of the HR value chain. So yeah, please, I'd appreciate that we keep this session as engaging as possible. When I ask questions, please help with your comments, with your responses. and let's have a good time. I'm going to be presenting my slide. I have to come up with a slide for this so that it's more visually engaging, although I prefer working without slides, but so that the class is more visually engaging. Let me present my slide. I don't make too many promises because I am very careful of promises, but I would promise that if you really pay attention to this class, you would get at least one thing that would help either shape your HR, your tech recruitment career, or make it better. That's if you've already started in it. So please pay super attention. There's no how that I'll put this together with research and there will be at least one thing that you'll learn from. So if at all every other thing I will say would be gibberish, at least that one thing, please ensure that you get it. And I'll most likely be asking after this session, what is that one thing that you learned? At least one thing that you learned. So please, let's pay attention. So we're going to be going, this is table of contents. We'll be going through what technical recruitment looks like, what are the essential skills for success, what are the key responsibilities of a recruiter, and of course, how do you become a technical recruiter at the end of the day? So that's essentially what we're going to be talking about. Please let me know if you can see my screen. Someone should please unmute and speak. I would like to use slideshow. So let me just start doing that. Can you see? I know messages are
Yes,
just.
I can see your screen.
Yeah, I can see your screen.
Okay, fantastic. Let me know if it's also moving as well, because this stuff messes up sometimes. Are you seeing introduction to technical recruiting, everyone?
Yes, please.
Yes, I can.
Yes, I can.
Fantastic. So we're on the same page. So next is defining who a technical recruiter is. So okay, I wish I hadn't shared my screen. Yeah, it's okay. I've taken it off. So who is a technical recruiter? Anyone? I prefer if you can please unmute and speak because okay, let me just exit my screen. So if you want to type, I can see it as well. But I prefer if you can unmute and speak. Who is a technical recruiter? What do you know? Just it doesn't have to be textbook definition. In fact, I didn't use a textbook definition as well because I want it to be as. Give me a second. I don't think my screen is presenting what I wanted to present. But yeah, let's just shift. So who is a technical recruiter? Anybody? Who is a technical recruiter? What do you know? Just it doesn't have to be textbook definition. Who is a technical recruiter? Anybody?
So I will go first. Good afternoon, everyone. So, from my understanding of who a technical recruiter is, I would say is someone that sources for or hires candidates for technical positions in the field of like software development, product managers, basically in the technical aspect of recruitment.
Fantastic.
Yeah, that's my
But why does it
understanding.
if you guys if I feel you guys are seeing this thing on my screen?
Yes, we can.
Am I
I can.
God, all my attempts didn't work. But yeah, that's fine. Don't worry. The next one I'll ensure that you don't say it. Yes, so just like you mentioned, a technical recruiter essentially is, let me go to my screen. I want to do slideshow. I'm not sure that it's doing what I want. Are you seeing my slideshow? Can anybody confirm you are seeing my slideshow? Or you are just seeing the PowerPoint presentation as a whole?
Yeah,
Is it my slideshow or the PowerPoint presentation as a whole?
The
just
PowerPoint
the
presentation.
PowerPoint.
PowerPoint presentation.
I can see the PowerPoints.
Oh my word. The slideshow is not coming up. Okay, let me just use what's working. So yeah, essentially a technical recruiter is an HR professional who specializes in hiring candidates for technical roles. So I must state that when we say technical recruiters, there are some fields that are non-IT related, that are non-software engineering or software development related, that also use technical recruitment or technical recruiters. So what do I mean? Fields like the telcos or the oil and gas, they also use the term technical recruiters for their specialized recruiters that hire engineers for them, mechanical engineers in this case. So not every technical recruiter in quotes works in the IT field, but most technical recruiters, most people that use the term technical recruiter or technical recruitment use it for the IT field. But if you make your finding online, you'd see that there's some industries like the oil and gas, like the telcos, that also have people that are called technical recruiters, but are not IT recruiters, that are not software developers recruiters. But for the case of our session today, we are dealing with IT recruiters. We are dealing with technical recruiters that are specialized in hiring candidates for software development roles. And then when we talk about software development roles, we are talking about software engineers, of course, which are essentially those who code, your QA guys, your DevOps guys. They're essentially the ones who we call software engineers, and also your design guys, like your product designers, your UI UX designers. There are those who we call software developers, your product guys as well, product managers, product owners, Scrum guys. There are software developers, data engineers, data scientists, AI guys, ML guys, machine learning guys. They are software developers, right? So recruiters are hired for those roles, cybersecurity guys as well, information security guys as well. They are software development folks. So recruiters that are specialized in hiring for these guys are who we call technical recruiters or IT recruiters. Some people erroneously interpret technical recruiters as recruiters that have the technical know-how, that know the job. So they are not hiring anything that has to do with tech guys, but they call themselves technical recruiters. That's absolutely a misconception, right? And we're going to be dealing with some misconceptions about technical recruitment, about 3 of them in the next slide, but I just thought to mention that. And the next thing I would like to mention around this first slide is that in the world of HR, if you make your findings, talent acquisition is one of the core, most sought after aspects of HR. You would often see, at least compared to other roles, you often see more openings for recruiters compared to compensation and benefit guys or performance management guys or L&D guys, right? So you often see vacancies for TA guys, which of course technical recruiters are under talent acquisition professionals, right? And I got a data from online that 58% of HR leaders identified talent acquisition as their most pressing concern, right? Because that at the end of the day, that's like one of the most important aspects of the workforce of an organization entirely, right? If you interview the average CEO, the average business leader, one of their major pain points or one of their major focus areas or one of their major concerns in organizational leadership is hiring the best people, hiring the best talent, right? So that's giving a sense of how highly demanded the TA field is, or highly demanded in specifics now, technical recruiters are. So if you desire a career path in technical recruitment, you're desiring a good thing, right? So I thought to mention that as well. And so you'll also give some sort of premium and attention, deeper attention to this session, at least knowing the level of importance that business leaders and entrepreneurs pay to it, to attach to it. Like I mentioned, we're going to be talking about some common misconceptions about technical recruitment. I'm going to be debunking them. There are a couple more, but I just identified 3 of them because of time. First of which is technical recruiters write codes. I've gotten asked that question before, that do technical recruiters write codes? And I'm like, no, I've never written anything as much as an alphabet in a code before, except probably when I was in the university, and then we did something that resembled computer science, which was not computer science in my in my perception right now. I don't know how many of us did Fortran back in school. Those very old programming languages. How many of you were taught? I need to see the comments. Oh, someone is saying they can't see the slide. Okay, I want to believe you can see the slide. How many of you did computer in school? Probably as a course, as a probably semester course, or as your full degree. Anybody? Nobody is. Am I still okay? Okay, good. TJ, I see TJ saying Fortran. You did Fortran. Gideon says you did COBOL. I don't even know the pronunciation, but I can assure you I've not heard this in the world of recruitment today. That's how far removed what we learned in school is from what we're doing today in the world of work. But that's just an aside. Back to my main point. Technical recruiters do not write codes. In capital letters, they do not write codes. You would not see any job description today that would say one of job description of a technical recruiter, and one of the requirements would be someone who can write codes. You will hardly see that. If they put it, it will be like a nice to have, not a must have, because it's not a core requirement for being a technical recruiter. It can be like the nice to have, which is rarely put in job descriptions, but it's not a required skill set for a technical recruiter. So if that is your major fear for taking technical recruiter as a career path or treading it as a career path, I want to tell you that you have nothing to be afraid about. That's my first good news for you today. You don't have to know how to write codes to be a technical recruiter. The second myth or wrongly held belief that I would like to debunk on technical recruitment is that technical recruiters only care about technical skills. As long as the candidate can code, as long as the candidate can test codes, as long as the candidate is strong in cybersecurity, as long as the candidate have experience in Azure, in AWS, he or she is good to go. No, we don't only care about technical skills, we also care about soft skills, or some people call it human skills. Simon Sinek typically calls it power skills. So we also care about soft skills as much as we care about hard or technical skills. We are not just only fixated on technical skills. So as a technical recruiter, you should have that at the back of your mind. Say, for instance, you're working as a consultant or you're working as an in-house recruiter. You are not just looking out for technical skills, right? So when you're probably developing a recruitment process from scratch, or if you join an organization that already have an established recruitment process but doesn't have, say, for instance, a cultural fit recruitment interview stage, you should bring that up. You should ensure that you recommend that, and at least try all your best that it's incorporated in the recruitment process. So we are not just concerned about technical skills, because at the end of the day, you need someone who is able to collaborate effectively with people to be able to achieve organizational goals. And finally, the last myth I'd like to debunk about technical recruitment is that technical recruiters completely understand software development. I'm bringing good news to you guys. That's a myth. It's a lie. In fact, there's hardly any tech professional that understands everything about software development, understands everything about front end, back end, QA, DevOps, UI, UX, understands everything about these aspects of software development. There's hardly any tech professional that does that. How much less a technical recruiter, right? So you don't necessarily have to understand every aspect of software development to become a technical recruiter. Which of these myths did you have before and that you are glad that I spoke about? Anybody, which of these beliefs did you have before? and I am glad that at least we have we've trashed it today. Anybody, you can unmute to speak or you can drop it in the chat box. TJ says Boolean strings can be regarded. Pardon?
Hi.
Yeah, go
I said
ahead.
hi. My name is Barbara.
Okay, Barbara, go ahead.
Yeah, I used to think that technical recruiters must have, technical background and technical knowledge.
Oh, fantastic. Thank you. So you don't necessarily have to have a technical background. Say, for instance, you were formerly a front-end guy or you're formerly a back-end guy and then now transition to tech. No, in fact, you can come from anything entirely. And that's why we're having this session. How do I come from a front desk professional, not a front-end engineer, and then I want to transition into becoming a technical recruiter? How do I come from becoming a project manager, not even a product manager, a core product manager in the tech space, and then I want to transition into becoming a technical recruiter? So thank you for mentioning that, and I'm glad at least that myth has been debunked. Princess mentioned that technical skills, the point on technical skills, which is technical recruiters only care about technical skills. No, that's false. We don't only care about technical skills. We as much care about soft skills as well. Adekemi says she shared the same thoughts as Barbara. So
Emmanuel.
thank you. Yeah, go ahead. Someone wants to say something.
Yes, my name is Emmanuel, and I'm sure you are my namesake.
Yeah, fantastic.
So what I wanted to understand is that I can say understanding the development.
Okay. Is this a question?
Does it mean that I should start learning software development for me to grasp the skills or the knowledge in
You'll
the
get there.
development?
Yeah, I'm going to get there. There's a section there's a section of this slide that addresses your concern. I'm going to get there as well. And for anyone who has any other questions, please put them at the back of your mind, put them in your notes so that we trash all your questions once we're done. So, there are some other comments. Vivian mentioned technical skills as aspect as well. 2J mentioned about the fact that Boolean strings can be regarded as code. It's not maybe a bit, not really coding. Boolean strings are too simple to be regarded as code. But yeah, well, yeah, I can just dash you that to make us happy that at least are coding a bit. Yeah, so glad that we've talked about some myths and we've debunked them. Next is, what are the skills that are essential for success as a technical recruiter? What are the skills that I must have to be regarded as a technical recruiter, as a competent technical recruiter? There are quite a number of them, but I listed or identified about 5 of them, and we're going to be addressing them. Just give me a second, please. Give me about 30 seconds.
Yeah, so while we're waiting for him, I'm going to be sending a message to the in chats section. I mean the chat section. I'm going to be sending a message. I'm going to be pinning it so that we can see the message going forward. Yeah, so by the time I drop the message, so that we can see it. Let me drop the message right now while we wait for you. And I was an aspect that I skipped during the introduction. So Emmanuel is at Flutterwave right now. I'm so sorry I didn't mention that. And he's the technical recruiter at Flutterwave. It's a global and Africa fintech company. So it's somebody of high profile. So I want you to stay to the end of today's section. Somebody of high profile. And he has been there for 4 years. It's something I didn't mention. I just remember that, wow, I didn't mention it. So you can check the in chat section. I've pinned a message there. Then I will address that at the end of today's section. Thank you, and over to you, sir.
Thank you so much. So like we were saying, so sorry for the brief interruption. Like I mentioned, there are some skills that are essential for success as a technical recruiter, and there are quite a number of them, but I identified about 5 of them, and we're going to be talking briefly on each. First is technical acumen. When I talk about technical acumen, this was like this is like the most basic. This was what I started with as a technical recruiter when I actually wanted to when I started getting interested in technical recruitment, I would be hearing. So my exposure to technical recruitment started off, or in fact, essentially to the world of tech, like to the real practical world of tech, started off with me being a consultant. This is real life story. So there's a this is my real life story I'm telling you guys. So there was a tech company, if I mention their name, yeah, quite a good number of us on this call would know them. They are YC backed. I think they got out of YC in 2017, either 2017 or 2018. I'm not very sure of that yet. Actually, 2018. So I was working as a consultant with them around that time, and then I would see their software guys, their engineers talking about, oh, this product has to go live. We have to work on this feature. Man, we had already deployed the feature, but there were some bugs, and then the feature is misbehaving, the app is misbehaving. I was being intrigued. I was also looking, man, this is so interesting. These guys are so passionate about what they're doing and all of that. I was working as a consultant. I had this very girl laptop. I'll go to the office. They were using very sophisticated laptops, then MacBooks. I'll be looking at them. Oh my God, this is without 2 heads. So then see them looking very fresh. I was a consultant then with my very big laptop. I was looking at them, very intrigued what they were doing. And then I started learning about what they're doing. I started learning how is it that as an HR guy, how can I be a part of, because I was so interested in what they were doing. And you would agree with me that tech guys are, when I say tech guys, I'm not being gender specific. I mean both females and males. Or let me just use tech guys and tech ladies, for those that are very gender conscious here. Tech guys and tech ladies are very, very cool in terms of what they do. Everybody's cool, but building products, building apps that have real-time effect, that you can literally, as you are hungry in your Yaba apartment, in your Ikeja apartment, you are very hungry, you can just, the comfort of your home, order food on say child deck. I'm not doing advertisement for them. And if by any means they're hearing this, they should pay me my money for calling them out positively. But you can just sit down and just order something. It's just mind-blowing, so beautiful. Some 10, 15 years before now, we didn't have that, at least not in Nigeria. So I just love those guys. And then I wanted to be a part of them. Yes, I couldn't code. I wasn't interested in coding. But then I was like, oh, if as an HR professional, how can I be a part of this? And then that was how I was exposed to the world of technical acumen. And then, like I mentioned, technical acumen was where I started from. Understanding what the terminologies are. You can't successfully trade in a market if you don't know the market language. If you don't know the terminologies of the market, you are a front-end guy and you are interviewing for a front-end role, and you don't know what the basics, you don't even know what the languages that are used. You don't know HTML, you don't know CSS, you don't know these things. You are a QA guy, you don't know anything about platforms that people use to test. You don't know Postman, you don't know any of those things. You don't know Cucumber, for instance. People will be looking at you that, who is this one? Where are you from? So I started learning what are the terminologies, what are the things like programming language. And let me tell you the truth. These things were super hard. At least for me. I had to learn some things over and over and over again till they stop. And in fact, right now, it's not as though I can explain them 100%, but at least I have enough knowledge to explain to at least someone who has an idea, and then the person will say, okay, yes, you have an idea of what you're talking about. So I learned things around what is a programming language, what are frameworks, what's a database, who's the Q, what are the various aspects of software engineering, who's a QA folk, who's the cybersecurity folk, who is the back-end person, what is a full stack engineer? I know there's back-end, there's front-end, which one is full stack again? So I started learning about those things. What is Java? What are the programming languages that backend guys use? What are the programming languages that front-end guys use? What are the tools that QA guys use? So I started learning these things to have technical acumen, right? Such that when I sit in an interview and then I'm asked, What are the skill set that you look out for in a QA guy, for instance? I know what to mention. Mention things like Selenium, mention things like ability or experience using a platform like say Postman, for instance, to test. So I had to learn those things. And I'll be lying to you to say they are simple, but if you're actually interested in it, you'll find if you are actually interested in technical recruitment, you'll find them interesting at the end of the day. Right, especially because when you are in a community or in just a random conversation about software development, you are able to speak. At least, even if you are not speaking at all, you're able to understand what they are saying. Oh, we're in sprint session, we're sprint planning session. You understand what that means, right? We want to have a demo. You understand what that means. We are the app is currently in a testing phase, in alpha testing phase, rather. You understand what that means. In beta testing phase, you understand what that means, right? So I had to learn, and I am still learning some things around technical terminologies, right? And the technology that are involved in software development. So that's the first skill. If you want to become a competent technical recruiter, you have to have at least a sizable degree of understanding of terminologies and technologies in software development. Next is market knowledge, very important. How many AI engineers can I find? I want to hire an AI engineer. Can I find them readily in Nigeria, for instance? You should have an idea of that as a technical recruiter. A machine learning engineer, AI ML engineer, try them in Africa, for instance. What country in Africa is my best bet? You have to have an idea of that. That's market knowledge. What are the skills that are required, right? Especially considering the industry that you are hiring for. There are some skills that are industry specific. Say, for instance, you're working in a payments company like I am, and you're hiring for an integration engineer, for instance. You know that for that role and for my industry, payments industry, you are dealing with someone who has an idea of API testing, at least. For an integration engineer, should have an idea. I'm not saying the person should be a QA person, but at least should have an idea of what should the QA person should have looked out for when testing for codes around that API. You should have an idea of what are those things that the API, when the client integrates them to their platform, what are those things that they'll be able to enjoy? What are those features that they'll be able to enjoy on their platform after integrating our API? As an integration engineer, he or she should have an understanding of those things. So you as a recruiter, you should have that market knowledge that, okay, these are the skills that I'm looking out for in an integration engineer that is in my industry. An integration engineer in a payment space might be different from an integration engineer in a different space, right? Because of what the various industries are specialized in. So you should have an idea of the talents landscape. What kind of skills would I readily see in various countries, right? I'm looking for a sales engineer, for instance. What countries would I see? What continents would I find that in? Right, of course. Regarding with regards to budget as well. Budget is another big aspect of market knowledge as well. I want to hire a senior full stack engineer with like 8 years of experience. What is the average budget? If anybody wakes me up for my dream now, I have a range of budget I'm going to for my sleeper. I have a range of budgets ready for that role without making any research at that moment, because I've done researches on them. You can't ask me that and I'm telling you 500k safe. I can't tell you 500k for that or anything lower than 500k. That's in Nigeria, of course. You're looking for a senior full stack, not even senior backend or senior from the full stack. You should be paying nothing less than 800, nothing less than, in fact, 850, nothing less than, let me just be a bit gentle, 800, nothing less than that for a senior full stack engineer, for instance. Right? So I have market knowledge on the various tech talents, budgets, skill sets, location. How do they influence talent availability? How do they influence candidate preferences? There are some locations you want to hire in today that they will tell you that I prefer to work from the office. There are some locations that candidates or talents in those areas who prefer to work at least maybe hybrid, but they at least want to go to the office once a while. Some locations want to hire today, talents don't even want to smell the office at all. So you should have an idea of those things so that when you want to draw up your JD as a technical recruiter, you know what to put in. You know how to advise an hiring manager, for instance, when you're drafting your JD. Next is sourcing proficiency. This is a very, very big deal. And I'll tell you why sourcing proficiency is very important. Yes, there are specialists in TA that are called sourcers, either technical sourcers or probably non-technical sourcers as well. There are some people that sourcing is like their major, that's their field. They are not recruiters, they are sourcers. However, as a recruiter, especially a technical recruiter, you should be able to source. And the huge reason, which at least is obvious for everyone, and you would agree with me, is that technical talents are hard to find, especially when you are talking about a climate like Africa. They are hard to find. So you should at least have some level of proficiency in sourcing. Someone mentioned, I think it was TJ, if I'm not mistaken, Boolean strings, constructing your Boolean strings. You should be able to do that. And there are some platforms that make it easy to be able to do that. For instance, IZ makes it easy for you to construct your Boolean strings. Very, very easy for you. This sourcing is a session on its own, like it's a 2-hour session on its own, right? And I think there's a training that comes after this class. This is just a master class, a general masterclass to give you an overview. That training would delve into the practicality of sourcing. So using tools like IZ, RecruitM, I love RecruitM a lot because RecruitM would take you to platforms. It's going to suggest platforms that you can run your strings on. So platforms like Behance, if you're looking for a designer, platforms like GitHub, LinkedIn, of course, if you want to run whatever you've come up with, you've competed on LinkedIn. So RecruitM does that. I actually love RecruitM a lot. LinkedIn Recruiter, which I use the most, is another platform that you can use for sourcing. It's also very, very easy to use. These things you should learn. Like I mentioned, it takes a master class, a training on sourcing. But these are platforms that you can explore sourcing on. These are some platforms that I use. I specifically put platforms that I have used. I could have gone to ChatGPT to come up with a list of platforms and put there. I don't use those platforms. You don't necessarily have to use too many platforms. Just look for 1-2 platforms that work well for you, that give you what you're looking for, and stick with that. So these are platforms that I have used, tested, and trusted. Right? ChatGPT as well. I've used ChatGPT before. There was a time I used ChatGPT, but it really didn't give me what I was looking for because it didn't have. That's a long time ago. And that was probably last year or 2 years ago. Probably early last year, late 2 years ago. And that was when ChatGPT didn't have access to live information. But I think now it should be able to work very well because you can now access online live information on ChatGPT now. So you can export ChatGPT as well. I abandoned it then because it was just coming up with so many bad responses for what I was looking for. So you can use ChatGPT as well to source. So sourcing is another proficiency that you should have as a technical recruiter. Then penultimate skill is learning agility. I can't overemphasize this. This is super, super important. There are some rules that you have never heard about in your life that will come up in your journey as a technical recruiter. Let me see, which one can I make mention of? Okay, let me use sales engineer, for instance. I worked on that last year or 2 years ago. Up until the point that I got the requisition for that role, I'd never heard anything like a sales engineer before. I didn't know that there are people that worked as a sales engineer. So people, and this was specific to my industry. There might be sales engineer for other industries as well, but the sales engineer I'm talking about is specific to my industry, and I will explain what it means to you. So sales engineer are mixture of sales folks, but have technical understanding. So that they have some sales competencies and then integration engineering competencies. So they are able to meet with prospective clients. So I work in a payments company. We have people that meet with prospective clients and tell them, oh, we're able to onboard, you can integrate our API to your platform and then process payments from XYZ countries across XYZ region. So they are able to sell, and then they have the technical know-how to say, okay, these are the features that you should integrate into your platform from our API that would actually work well for you, or from our own platform, from our payment solution that would actually work well for your product. So they had sales proficiency and then they had engineering proficiencies. Up until then, I didn't know anything like that existed. But when I got the role, oh, Emmanuel, you had to hire sales engineers from, I think I got acquisition from NORAM, Northern America, and Africa. Yes, and MENA, sorry. NORAM and MENA. And then I had to go and learn, okay, what is the sales engineer? I had to work with the iron manager to develop the JD. I had to read through it, understand it, make some findings as well, because that's like the hardest role that I worked on to date. So, but I was able to do that. I was able to work on it because I had some level of learning agility. I was open to learning. I didn't say, which one is this? Let them give to someone else on the team. But I took it on, learned about it, and then I'm better. I believe I'm better off for it. At least I won't be asked about that role, and then I'll be completely blank today. So that's another very, very important skill. You have to be open to learning. You have to enjoy learning new concepts, new technologies, new methodologies, evolving role requirements as well. And this one is very, very important. What you use to I worked on a QA role last year, and there was a new competency that was introduced, cucumber. When I saw cucumber, I was like, which is cucumber again? Is that the person who has eaten cucumber before? Or the person who know how to plant cucumber? Until I knew that it was a very required skill, one of the new skills, latest skills for QA engineers, right? So you have to be open to learning. And finally, which I think is very, very interesting, and probably people don't pay so much attention to, probably because it's a power skill, not really a technical hard skill, is communication and sales. Very, very important as a technical recruiter. Your mouth has to be sweet. You have to be able to negotiate. You have to be able to communicate that we are working on a project, we are working on a product that would really excite you. And that's why you have to learn. You have to know what your team is working on. Their app, 2. What are they? What are they on? Are they on 3.0 or 2.1 or 4.1? What iteration level are they at? What are they doing? What new features are they coming up with? Have this conversation. Speak with your software engineer as a technical recruiter. Learn such that you are able to sell. Oh, this is the next project that we're working.
Hi everyone. I think he left the call. He should be joining back soon. He should be joining back soon. Maybe it's his network. I think he left the call and he should be joining back soon. But I believe we are having a great. We are enjoying the section. I believe we are taking notes. I believe we are noting down our questions. Can I get some responses from us? Oh, thank you, Adewumi. I can see your thumbs up. Yeah,
Yes,
thank
yes, yes.
you.
This
Yeah.
is great.
Oh, great. So while we're waiting for him, um, he should be back soon. So while we're waiting for him, I dropped the message. I sent the message to the in-chat section, to the chat section on the call right now, and I'm going through it. I would like you to go through that. I've pinned it. It's a message that has been pinged, and currently we are offering you an amazing discount for our HR, for our technical recruitment training that is starting in April. Strictly hands-on practical intensive. I would like to know if he's back. Hi, man, are you back? Okay, he's not back. Let's just wait for him, please. Let's just wait for him. Yes, so our technical recruitment training is quite rigor, hands-on practical intensive, and it's starting in April. Yes, it's starting in April. And something unique about technical recruitment training is that to be taken by technical recruiter themselves, and Emmanuel Samuel is one of the person that will be taking the training. Yes, one of the lead facilitator for the training. It's one of the lead facilitator for the training. And when is it starting? Next month, April 19 to be precise. Okay, I think it's back right now. So you can check the chat section, the pin message, and join the class group regards to the training. And at the end of today's section,
Are we back,
I'll be
guys?
providing information. Yes, you're back. You're back. We can hear you now. You left the call for
Hello,
a
guys.
while.
Can you hear me, please?
Yes, yes.
I don't know. I think it was me. I think my Chrome relaunched. But let me know if you can hear me.
We can hear you.
Can you
We
hear
can
me?
hear you. Yes, we can hear you. We can hear you.
Oh, fantastic, fantastic. My audio was muted. Thank you so
Yes, we
much.
can hear you.
Yeah, at what point did I drop off so that I can continue from there?
From communication and sales.
Communication and sales. Thank you so much.
Yes.
Fantastic.
Yes.
Please, that shows that you're following me. Let me share my screen. I believe you can see my screen now. Please, can you confirm?
Yes, yes.
Fantastic. Thanks. So you should be able to sell your company, sell your benefits, sell your projects, sell your ideas to a prospective candidate. And of course, negotiation as well is a big part of sales and communication. You're able to negotiate, okay, we have this, apart from the salary, we have budget for learning and development. You are entitled to promotion with salary review after XYZ period. These are negotiation skills, right? So as a recruiter, your mouth has to be sweet in quotes, right? So and I'm not saying you should lie about your company, and at the end of the day, to now become what we ordered versus what we got. No, I'm not saying that, but based off the selling points of your organization, that's why every organization should have an EVP, right? You should have the value proposition as an employer. Okay, these are advantages with you joining our company. You might not be the organization that pays the most, but what are those things that you can use as a selling point? It can be as simple as the exciting projects that you are working on. That's that about that. The next is key responsibilities of a technical recruiter. What are the key responsibilities of a technical recruiter? The first one, of course, is job description creation. This is typically not done in isolation. And I must mention this. Creating a JD should not be done in isolation. You are not a QA engineer, for instance. You're not an information security engineer, for instance. So you're not expected to know the JD from the top to the end. You're not expected to know the entirety of what the organization needs to look out for in the candidate that will be hiring. It's the team that has this information. In fact, sometimes the information even change depending on what the team is working on, or depending on the talent that they already have. So there might be a skill set that they don't currently have on the team. That's the major thing they're looking out for, and that's why they want to hire someone, because probably they don't have enough time to train the people that are already on the team on that skill set. So that's reasons why you as a recruiter, you shouldn't develop a JD in isolation. You can come up with a draft, but ensure that you share it with the hiring manager. And I think I should mention, when I say hiring manager, typically what is defined as an hiring manager is someone from the team that is hiring, that is working with you, that is working with the recruiter closely for that role. So that's the person, the POC for the role from the team that is hiring. So for instance, you're hiring a product manager. So who is the POC from the product management team? That's the hiring manager. Usually, that's the definition of that term, hiring manager. So when I say hiring manager, that's what I mean by hiring manager. So you are liaising with the hiring manager, someone who has the technical know-how on that role to create the JD. So that's one of the duties of a recruiter, job description creation. And I mentioned you have to do it in collaboration with hiring managers to ensure that what you have crafted as a job description, or at the end of the day as a job advert, is accurately depicting what the team needs. And of course, it has to be clear and detailed. I have been fighting two major battles in the HR space in my little corner, with at least since this year started. One of which is very terrible job descriptions. Like it seems people are going on trainings on how to develop a poor job description. I don't know. I need to. If you see that training, please let me know, because I'm convinced that there's such a training, because the quality of JDs have been seen, or job adverts to be more accurate, that I've been seeing nowadays is very terrible. You see job adverts as bad as, I am looking for a front-end engineer, 5 to 6 years experience. Kindly apply via blah 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 blah. That's all. That's a terrible job advert. A detailed job advert should at least have these 5 things. Number one, a brief description of the company that is hiring for the role. Yes, I know that you are a consultant, and then you shouldn't put the name of the company out. Yes, I've worked as a consultant before, as a recruitment consultant before. But at least you can say our client, there are a lot of job adverts that do that. Our client is a tier 1 commercial bank. You can put our client is a top tech company that does XYZ. Just a brief description, so that at least the prospective candidates can have an idea of what they're applying to. 2, that might actually be the dream industry of the candidate that you are looking for, of your dream candidates. But if you don't put that information, they might just, this might just be one of those very terrible companies that they don't want to work with, and then they're not interested. So a brief description of the company, 2, the title of the role, and a brief description of that as well. 3, the work arrangement. Is it going to be hybrid or fully on site or fully remote? 4, what are the skill sets? 5, what are the duties for the role as well? So this 5 key, there are several other stuff, like some companies put information about salary. This 5 and 6, of course, the method of application. These 6 information are very, very important in crafting a JD. So as a technical recruiter, please don't play light on drafting JDs. I typically say that the quality of your JD does 2 things. Number 1, it reflects your employer brand, and 2, it affects the quality of candidates that you attract. So JD creation is a very, very important duty when it comes to technical recruitment. Next is application review and pre-screening. Very, very important. How do you, and I'm going to tell you a secret on this. If you want to gain the respect of your hiring managers, and I've defined who hiring managers are. Those are the people on the hiring team. When I say hiring team, I mean the team that is hiring for the role. The person, not people, the person on the team that is hiring for the role that you are working closely with to fill that role. Many times it's the team lead, and sometimes the team lead. Team lead just say, "Oh, work with this person." Usually, it's senior person on the team. Work with this person to fill the role. So your communication, your interviews, everything would be gone. Your communication essentially would be through that person, right? So application review, if you want to gain the respect of your hiring manager, the person that you're working with to fill that role, you have to, one of the things that we have to do that is providing quality CVs, quality candidates. And one of the ways that, or a chief way of ensuring that you are providing quality candidates is the level or the level of quality of your review process, your application review process. How do you review resumes? How do you review applications? Your pre-screening calls. How do you take them? What are the things you ask for in your pre-screening calls? A secret on doing this very well is just this, what is called a kickoff call. Before you start the recruitment process, you have a kickoff call with your hiring manager. One of the very important questions, and these are secrets I'm telling you, what I use, very, very important questions to ask is, what are your must-have skills for this role? You are hiring a senior Java developer. What are these core skills? They will tell you, see, apart from the fact that this person should have worked with Spring Boot as a framework, I want someone who has worked in fintech, for instance. It's a must. So if you are bringing strong candidates, they have all these software proficiencies, they they are good when it comes to technicality in terms of the skill set, but the candidate doesn't have any fintech experience. The hiring manager will say, "Ah, guy, you are not giving what I want." Because yes, those other things that they're providing are good, they are nice, but one of the must-have is that the person should have worked in a fintech company or currently is working in a fintech company. If you are not providing that, they will keep saying that you are bringing terrible candidates. And then if management will say our apps is doing bad, they'll trace it. And that's why our role as technical recruitment, as technical recruiters rather, is very, very important. Especially when you are working in a tech company. If, for instance, managers are saying, oh, the management rather is saying customers are complaining about our app, our product is bad. The next question is developers immediately. That's the next question. And then developers are saying the backend guy has gone. The backend guy who was working on this app has gone, and we've communicated to the HR team. The HR team is not giving us. They won't, because everybody wants to shift the blame in the organization. They will say the HR team is not giving us quality candidates. And what they mean by quality candidates might just be that only requirement that you have not paid attention to, which is we want someone, apart from the other things, the other skill set, we want someone who has experience in the fintech space. That's why having the kickoff call with your hiring manager is super, super important to know what are the must-have skill set, the compulsory skill set for this role. So that's what you use to review resumes, especially for those of us who don't have ATSs that can do automated screenings or reviews of profiles of CVs for us. So that's a very, very important point that she mentioned. So application review and pre-screening, of course, your pre-screening calls, because at the end of the day, CV sometimes is what you what you order versus what you got. The candidates many times are completely different from the CVs. So you want to have your pre-screen call such that you have at least ask some very important questions from the candidate, and then you can see that no, this is someone I can beat my chest on to speak with the hiring team, because at the end of the day, it's the hiring team that will have technical interviews with the candidate, right? So you want to do your pre-screen calls as well, so that they're not asking that HR, you didn't speak with this candidate at all. This candidate doesn't know what they're doing. Yes, they have the skill set on their CV, but they don't know what they're doing, because they will ask you the hiring managers many times, or let me say interview panelists many times. I know now they ask you, HR, you know, follow this guy talk, you know, screen them, because they are not getting, and it's a waste of their time. Is it someone that customers are complaining that the app, a particular icon is not working? They have a lot to do as tech guys, and then they're not wasting their time with a candidate who is nothing compared to what is on their CV. So you want to ensure that you've done your pre-screen calls to ensure that the CV is actually portraying the candidate properly. So you ask very, very important questions, targeted questions in your pre-screen calls that can actually prove if the person has the skill sets that they have put on their resume. Then interview coordination is very, very important. It's another very important part of being a technical recruiter. From scheduling, and I will mention one or two very important things in this section. From scheduling interviews, in fact, from knowing the interview panelists to scheduling it, to confirming the schedule with candidates, and of course with the interview panelists as well. Like I said, I will mention some important points. First of which is we have gotten to a day and age where HR is changing, specifically recruitment is changing. And I typically preach it that as a recruiter, you are not doing the candidate a favor. Yes, you might be the answer to their 100 years prayers, but at the end of the day, they are also, if they are good, an answer to your organization's prayers as well. So it's a symbiotic relationship. It's a relationship that benefits both parties at the end of the day. So I said that to say that there are sometimes that your interview schedule doesn't work for the candidate. An ethical thing to do, especially when you are able to. I understand that there are some times that probably the candidates are just overwhelming, or what you have to do is overwhelming at that point. Except in rare cases, ensure that you work with a time frame that works for both your interviewers, and then the candidate as well. Don't just say once my interviewers are available for the period, your candidate must. No, we have left that mindset in recruitment. We have left it years ago. If you were a candidate, wouldn't you prefer that you're given that level of freedom as well to choose a time that works for you, especially when you're dealing mostly with people that are currently working on a job, so they have to sometimes make some arrangement, probably take leave, such that they are able to devote a time to speak with you or devote a day to speak with you, to ensure that in scheduling your interviews, you pay attention to time, a schedule that works for both your interviewers and then your interviewees, right? And of course, you communicate as early as possible, at least 24 hours interval, at least, between when the invite is shared with the candidate and the interview time. There are some, I think a message dropped. Okay, I think it's a question. I would attend to all the questions much later. There's some, I've almost lost my train of thought. Oh my goodness. Please, can somebody remind me? I'm on a call. Can someone remind me the points I mentioned last? Please, anybody?
We're talking about the
24-hour
timeline,
notice.
the
You're
interview
fantastic.
timeline.
At least it shows that you're following me. Thank you so much. Yes, there are sometimes I've heard that recruiters will send candidate notifications on the day of interview. Literally, you are interviewing with the candidate on Monday, for instance, and then it's that same Monday that you are just notifying the candidate of the interview. That's absolutely unprofessional. Yes, there are some times that maybe because of changes in terms of schedule or in terms of availability of the interviewer, maybe it's the CEO that you are speaking with, and then the CEO is just telling you the night before, the evening before the interview date, and you are probably close to your laptop, you don't have access to your laptop, you are not able to send the email out to the candidate that day. One of the things you can do is to call the candidates and let them know that, oh, I'll be sharing an interview invite with you first thing in the morning with us, and I'm not able to send that invite today for XYZ reason. At least he or she knows that this person has me at the back of their mind, and this is a situation beyond their control, because probably the CEO, the schedule of the CEO or whoever it is that they want to speak with is very, very tight, and then the person just has that opening for them to speak. But at least you are given a sense of, I value you. I'm at least giving you some ample notice period ahead of when I'm able to now send a proper interview invite to you, right? So these are things that we should pay attention to as recruiters under this aspect of our duty, of our jobs as technical recruiters, which is interview coordination. At the end of the day, what I'm trying to say is treat candidates as human beings like you, who should have some level of premium placed on them. Because at the least, if you won't do that for any reason, at least you'll be doing that because if you are a candidate, you'll be expecting that recruiters will do the same for you. Another part of this is logistics, especially when it's a physical interview. I saw a very, very terrible clip online this week. Someone said in the labor law, there's a provision that if you're inviting a candidate for physical interview, you must pay the transport fee, you must sort it. I've never heard anything like that. I've never read anything like that. I've read the labor law a couple times. I've never seen anything like that. And I wouldn't share that with you. But what I mean when I'm saying logistics is as minute as putting address information, detailed address information on the interview invite when it's a physical interview, putting that in detailed, even if it's an online interview, information as detailed as, oh, this interview is going to be taking place via Zoom. Not everybody has Zoom installed on their phones, on their laptops. Not everybody has Teams installed on. I think I have everything, probably because I'm a recruiter. But not everybody has all of this software installed on their devices. So you want to ensure that those logistics are taken care of to ensure that the candidate has a smooth experience. as minute as they come in physically, you're giving them a bottle of water, you're offering them coffee. These are kind. Just see, I'm very passionate about this because I'm a recruiter and I'm very passionate about candidate experience. I want you to, if you don't gain anything at all from this session, I want this to get stuck at the back of your mind. If I were the candidate, how would I want to be treated? Let this shape your interaction with candidates, the way you communicate with them, the way you would ask them questions in interview, the way you would send emails to them, the way when they come in, how you would greet them. Let this mindset shape your interactions with candidates. If I were the candidate, how would I love to be treated? Right. So the simple sometimes it's as simple as offering them water, offering them sweets, offering them, of course, if you can afford it. I want to believe the average organization can afford 200 naira table water, right? So these are things that, and this is physical interview, of course. These are things that at least it might look little, but probably it's because it looks little that the average organization doesn't do it. So if your organization does it, if your recruiter does it, to stand out because the average organization doesn't do it today. Probably because they feel it's little. So these things, let's take cognizance of them because candidate experience is a huge part of the recruitment process. Next is, after this, I have two more. Next is candidate sourcing. Like I mentioned, we've talked about sourcing under the skills that the recruiter needs. And so I'm not going to talk too much about it. It's a very, very huge part of technical recruitment. Like I mentioned, you are dealing with with talents that are not readily available. It's not like you're hiring for an accountant, for instance. Comparatively, I'm not saying that accountants are not important. I'm just saying in terms of talent availability or talent density, in typically any region, in your average region, you would see more of accountants compared to a cybersecurity guy, right? So you just need to probably just put out the job advert, sit down, sip your wine, sip your coffee, and then you see applications rolling in. After 3 days, you have as much applications as 300 or at least applications in the hundreds, right? But say you're hiring for a cybersecurity engineer, for instance, you apart from the fact that a secondary school teacher or an HR professional will apply for that cybersecurity role and frustrate your life, you would, even the cybersecurity guys that would apply, they might not actually have the skill set that you're looking out for. So at the end of the day, you might be, I don't want to say reduced, but you might have no other choice but to source for that role. So that's one huge part of our work as recruiters. We source. So there are various channels of sourcing. Like I mentioned, I've listed some using your Boolean string to source on some platforms. And of course, sourcing is not limited to those channels. You use offsites. There's offsite sourcing as well, like networking events. Don't play down the power of a networking event, especially networking event of tech professionals. Please try as much as possible to attend those events, even as an HR professional, as a technical recruiter. You have your hangouts, your meetups, your fintech evenings. Attend all of those programs. Meet up with tech professionals. This is one part that I really don't do well. And of course, it's a reminder to myself to at least do more of it. Maybe because of the headache of going out in Lagos, but it's a very, very important piece of sourcing. And finally, which is like my most interesting aspect of sourcing, is referrals. Oh man, I love referrals. I love referrals. Referrals make my life easy. And it's a secret. Should I share this? This is a secret. Oh. Should I share it? Can you pay 500,000 for me to share the secret? I want to share the secret on referrals.
No problem.
Is anybody volunteering to pay 500,000 for the secret? Anybody?
Yes.
You are? Okay.
Share.
Chairman is volunteering. Who else? I need like 10 people to volunteer to share 500K. So at least that's like 5 million for me. Wow. Good afternoon. Abiodun says, go ahead. Amen. I love that. Go ahead.
Go ahead, please.
Gideon says, say I should send my Bitcoin. Fantastic. Drop your account. Oh, I love this. A secret on referrals is this: before you start any hiring, before you start posting, before you start doing your Boolean strings, before you start doing all of these things, ask the person, the hiring team, either the hiring manager or anybody on the team. Do you have many times they have candidates. They have probably people they have worked with in their former organizations. They know. As an accountant, you can reach out to an accountant that, oh, do you have a a software engineer, a full stack engineer, and then they are referring a QA person to you. And then you ask them, this is not a full stack profile. They'll tell you, tech now, everybody now tech now, because they don't know, they don't have the know, they don't know that these things are different. In fact, you're looking for a back-end person, it's different. You might be looking for a .NET guy, someone who writes C#, and then you are getting a Java person. But if you reach out to the hiring team themselves that they should refer to you, they'll 9 out of 10 they are referring solid candidates. It has helped me too many times. So I don't stress myself. It saves time, it saves effort, it saves a lot. Because before, say for instance, a team lead will refer someone to you, they know that no, this person is sound. Probably they work with the person before and they can beat their chest that the person is sound. It's just that you now have to ensure that your recruitment process is as objective as possible. You ensure that it's not the team lead alone, for instance, that would interview that such a candidate. At least 2 additional people that would get objective feedback from the, oh, this person is actually good. So, but I give you a cheat code today. Referrals are the way to go. Referrals are, they will make your life very, very easy, right? Because like I mentioned, at the end of the day, anyone who is going to be referring from the hiring team would at least 9 over 10 of the time have a good idea of the candidates that are going to be sharing with you. So the next my brother is talking me. So the next very important aspect of our duties as technical recruiters is offer negotiation. I talked about this briefly earlier on. You have to have an idea of the offer, of the roles. Ask what's the budget for this role, because your average candidate is going to ask you what the budget for the role is. And in fact, I typically advise, this is another thing that I'm sharing, that helps me a lot. Before you stress yourself taking candidates through 2-3 stages of interview, and then at the end of the day, you are discovering that their current salary is almost ×2 of your budget. Let me give you a second to think about what I just said. There's some candidates that their current salaries are almost ×2 of your budget. I'm not talking about their expectation of their current salary. So before you get to the end of the interview, maybe offer stage, and then you are now discovering, you now send the offer, and then the candidate is making, there's some candidates now that are very wicked. They will laugh. They will send you LOL in email. They send you LOL. In fact, that might be the only thing that they will send you. Because probably they're even annoyed that you've not had the conversation, although I'm not justifying that, but they might be angry that you didn't have the conversation about budget with them, and then you are sending them an offer that is less than half of what they're currently taking. Right. So I advise typically that you should have compensation conversations as early as possible. In where I currently work today, we have compensation conversations during the pre-screen calls. So if it works for you, fine. If it doesn't work for you, bye-bye. I can pipeline your profile for the near future. So please have an idea of what the budget is. Speak with whoever it is that you need to speak with, such that you are not doing the work, stress yourself to organize interviews and all of that. And then at the end of the day, you are discovering that, oh, I can't bring this person on board with our budget. Right. So, and then if you also need to negotiate at that stage as well, you are negotiating that, oh, in addition to this offer, we pay 13 months, we give performance bonuses, we pay leave allowances. These things are, many candidates find these things very, very important. So don't say they don't matter. These aspects of your compensation package, they matter a lot. So know as much information as you can know about your organization's compensation package and sell it to prospective candidates. Is one of your duty as a technical recruiter. And of course, when it comes to closing the deal, you might also be involved. You might not be the one who sends the offer out. There are some organizations that are robust The people that source are different from people that organize interviews, different from people that what's it called, that send out offers. So if you are not the recruiter, if you are not in charge of sending out offer, as a recruiter, you would most likely be involved one or two times, probably because there are some nuances. Maybe the candidate is saying, no, 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 no. There are sometimes, let me tell you this, free of charge, free information you didn't ask for. And sometimes that the candidate might have agreed with you at the beginning of the exercise, and then when it gets to the end, they might want to feel, since I've gotten to the end and I'm good, I think I can ask for more, blah, 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 blah. And then you might have to do some form of renegotiation again at that point. So ensure that you are able to speak well, you're able to communicate well. That's why I said communication and sales are a huge part of the skill set for technical recruiters. And then the last but not the least, which many recruiters don't do, but I see it as a very, very important. I just started doing it myself last year. So it's not as though I'm some Superman, right? But I just started doing it myself last year. Is talent pipeline development. Because, like I've said like 100 times already on this call, because we are dealing with talents that are hard to find typically, it's wise for you to develop talent pipelines. It's strategic, such that before the need arises, you already have a pipeline of candidates that probably, it might be as just simple as candidates that you have already reviewed their resumes, and then you find out that they are good for the role, such that when there's a need, you can just say, I already have some candidates, hiring manager, please review these candidates. I already have them pipelined. And then the hiring manager is like, wow, this is good. Because many times, apart from the fact that these tech talents, they are scarce, permit me to use that word, they are hard to find. I think that's the better phrase to use. The second thing is many times tech roles or technical tech role needs many times are urgent needs. Many times. Because many times they're dealing with our app is not working well, or we want to make the website better. Want to make the, and this is that they're many times very urgent needs. So that's why that's where having a talent pipeline comes in very, very handy. Such that we need a mobile developer, we need someone who's a Kotlin developer. You have a pipeline for that already. So start working on it. You might start with maybe 2, 3 rows, 4 rows. Just have a pipeline. It sets you apart from other recruiters. I feel I'm saying too much. To be honest, the only thing I'm telling you, if you read within the lines, I'm telling you some very important things. I'm not saying this to brag. I try as much as possible to not to do that. But I'm saying these things because these are many of the things I'm saying, or a couple of them, are things I will stand you out at the technical recruiter. That you've been in an interview. I was on an interview before. I think I told one of my friends this. I was in an interview before, and I'm not kidding you, and I'm not lying. After a while, on the call, this was the first interview. The interviewer was telling me, please come and join our team. She literally said it on the call that she joined. It's just that it collapsed at some point because of salary expectation. I won't tell you the year so that you won't start guessing anything. She was literally she told me on the call, come and join my team. We had not finished the interview. We had not finished the interview. She told me on the call because of some things that someone is unmuted. Please mute. Oh, I can see the feedback. I can see some feedback in the chat box. Banker, Adekemi, I can see. Yes, candidates that would break our hearts, and that was on the point of negotiating beforehand, right? And then like I was saying, some things I'm saying now, please pay attention to them. They will make you stand out as a recruiter, whatever industry that you're in, whatever. Sometimes even when you're applying for international roles as well, they'll make you stand out. So please pay attention to them. Talent pipeline, like I just mentioned, is many recruiters don't pay attention to it. So as a recruiter, if you pay attention to this, it will make you stand out. Finally, last but not the least, steps to becoming a technical recruiter. I've talked about what, who, what. I think this is the most important part of our conversation. How do I become a technical recruiter? I listed about some 5 points. I'm going to rush through them because of time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yes, 5 points. Number one, understand the recruitment life cycle. Yes, I've talked a lot about understanding technical terminologies, understanding software engineering, understanding programming languages, frameworks, databases, XYZ. But at the end of the day, it's just an icing on the cake. The most important thing is do you understand recruitment? The recruitment don't, that you are being technical on. Do you understand it? Right? Do you understand what can someone sit you down in an interview and say, and this is a typical question, I'm giving you a bonus. This is a typical question you get asked as a recruiter, whether tech or not. Can you explain the recruitment process? Can you in detail, within 5 minutes or less than it, explain what the recruitment life cycle is from requisition? How does the requisition become open? How do teams get approval from requisition? What is an HRF? People don't know what an HRF is, an request form or whatever terminology it's called in your space. So how do teams raise a hiring request and how is it approved? So how do you source candidates, internal sourcing for candidates or internal? When I say sourcing, I'm not talking about sourcing using a Boolean. I'm talking about looking for candidates. Internal sourcing for candidates, that's how do you pull out the role internally for employees to apply for the role internally. External sourcing, how do you draft your JDs? How do you liaise with line managers, hiring managers rather, for JD creation, screening resumes, pre-screen calls, setting up interviews, negotiating, all of those key aspects of the recruitment value chain or flow chart. How can you say those things? Can you explain those things well? Right. So you have to first understand what the recruitment life cycle is. I've said a lot, and I intentionally put this in. I've said a lot about tech, but at the end of the day, if you don't understand the basics of recruitment, you will fail as a technical recruiter. Because the only thing that sets you apart as a technical recruiter from other recruiters is just that you are hiring software developers. That's the only thing. You are still doing recruitment. You are still doing the usual recruitment that everybody does. Right. So understand recruitment. Also, you should be someone who, or apart from being someone who understands recruitment, the recruitment life cycle, you also understand how you can make the process more effective, more efficient, right? As a technical recruiter, these are ways you become a good technical recruiter. So you learn what are the stages in recruitment or in technical recruitment, as the case may be. Essentially, it might not differ many times. So that's why I specifically put here that you understand what the recruitment life cycle is all about. So understand recruitment, understand this, and there are many ways for you to learn recruitment. There are many courses online, YouTube, Udemy, reading books. So understand the recruitment life cycle if you want to become a technical recruiter. That's number one. Number two, if you want to become a technical recruiter, have technical literacy. I've talked about this a bit. Learn. I still learn about it. There's no how you will not learn. You have to learn a lot in technical recruitment. So learn about roles. Who is a AI ML engineer? What do they do? Because you might eventually get yourself in a role that would require you to hire for an AI ML engineer. So understand, learn what is the what are the technical jargons. Learn these things. These are what stand you out as a technical recruiter, such that when you're interviewing and you're just asked some random question around, oh, if you're hiring for a DevOps engineer, what do you look out for? You mentioned things like the cloud infrastructure. What are the typical cloud infrastructure? AWS, Azure. So you have to learn those things. Get yourself familiar. What are tech roles? What are the different aspects of software development? Software engineering is a part of it. Security is a part of it. Design is a part of it. Data is a part of it. Program management is a part of it. So have some level of technical literacy. You can learn those things. Next, step in becoming a technical recruiter, how you can become a technical recruiter, is learn how to source. I've mentioned some platforms, a wise person, and those platforms that I mentioned, they are free, except for LinkedIn Recruiter. IIZ is free. There's a free version that at least that you can play with. IIZ. Recruit M is also free as well. You can use that as well. I typically, like I mentioned, I intentionally put those ones that I've used and that are free as well, so you don't have an excuse. And you can also make your findings as well. Sourcing platforms online. You can Google these things. You can also use ChatGPT as well. Learn, watch YouTube videos on how to source, learn how to source, enhance your sourcing skills. Like I mentioned, there'll be a training on some essential that would deep dive into key aspects of technical recruitment, like sourcing, practically how to source, right? So you should learn how to source if you want to become a technical recruiter. Last 2 points, or last 3 points actually. Market knowledge. You should have market knowledge. If I want to hire for a tech professional in, let me ask this question for instance. I want to hire a tech professional in I'll ask it in 2 ways. First, in Africa, what are the 2 major countries that I should target? I have open budget to hire in Africa. What are the 2 major countries I should target? I want to see those of us who know, who have some sense of. Can the slide be shared? That one will be strong. It will be. I'll think about it. Nigeria and SA, yes, partially. There are 2 major earthquakes. Check your data online. There are 2 major earthquakes here. You see, SA is a part of it. Egypt and SA, yes, yes. Nigeria and Kenya, Nigeria and Kenya, Nigeria and Kenya. They are the major. Make your findings online. As little as the fact that they are even the ones who have the highest number of tech companies in Africa, Nigeria and Kenya. SA is there. So typically, when I want to hire for tech talents across Africa, there are some 4, 5 countries that I look out for: Nigeria, Egypt, and you guys have listed them already. Nigeria, Egypt, Kenya, South Africa, Nigeria, Egypt, Kenya, South Africa, and Ghana. Those are the 5 that I typically look out for. And that's market knowledge. These are questions that you might be asked even from an hiring manager. Because as a recruiter, you're not just as a technical recruiter, you're not just interested to be operational. A lot of what we do is very strategic in nature. So things like this are what stand you out and show that you're strategic. You're able to advise, okay, these are the countries you should look out for. The second, am I echoing? Okay, I think it's fine. Okay. The second question I'd like to ask is, I think somebody's unmuted because I'm echoing. I think it's fine now. Okay, it's fine now. The second question I would like to ask is, if you are hiring in Francophone Africa, what country would you look out for technical talent? What's the first country that should come to your mind based on market knowledge?
Ivory Coast. Ivory Coast.
Thank you. Adeola also mentioned. The person who spoke, you have an accent that is giving baby Kenya.
Yes, I'm from Kenya.
You see that's one thing that our work can do to you. Because of how many the range of talent I've gotten to speak with, I can easily spot a talent. The location of a talent, for instance. So you know that I'm not just speaking out of what I think. Is what I do every day. Thankfully, the kind of organization I work with, and of course, not even also limited. Just ensure that you expose yourself to as much learning as you can. So, Côte d'Ivoire, yes, thank you so much for that. That's absolutely spot on. So don't stress yourself. There are 3 major ones: Côte d'Ivoire, Senegal, and Côte d'Ivoire, Senegal. To be honest, the third one you really struggle. So essentially, Côte d'Ivoire and Senegal, you typically see. Cameroon, yes, somebody mentioned, yes. Cameroon, but not as much as Côte d'Ivoire and Senegal, especially Côte d'Ivoire. So that's market knowledge. That's market knowledge. So read wide, play with some data online. Just at least get yourself familiar with typical market knowledge on technical recruitment. Back to my slide. Of course, another big part of market knowledge is salary as well. Know what, as little as the currency. What does Francophone Africa typically spend? Some countries in Francophone Africa, they typically spend CFA, ZOF, ZAP and ZOF. That's what they spend. Nigeria, of course, Naira, Egypt, Egyptian pounds, South Africa rands, Kenya shillings, KSH. So know those things. These are market knowledge. Such that when you're coming up with budgets, you know the budget, you make your findings. Okay, I want to hire a software engineer. This is what a mid-level developer would typically ask for in Kenya, blah, blah, blah. You make your research because you don't know. They ask this question, maybe even on an interview panel. These are hiring for a technical recruiter. These are the kind of questions I would ask because these are questions that would set apart recruiters from each other. Next is sourcing proficiency. No, this is not meant. Oh, sorry. I clicked on the wrong slide. Technical literacy, we've talked about that. Sourcing skill, we've talked about that. Market, we've talked about market knowledge as well. The next is targeting companies. You have to know the companies that you target if you want to become, and this is especially for people who are not currently working as technical recruiters. So you should have, this is another secret I want to share with you. You know how guys used to stalk girls, and I'm not advising that any guy should stalk, but at least maybe there's another word for it. I don't know if there's another word for it, but the way you are looking, stalk is not the right word, but how you are checking out as Instagram handle. You are all over social media. You are checking a picture. You are checking what she's posting. You are checking what she's talking about. So that if at all you are lucky to get a conversation with her, you know where to pick the conversation from. Because you have picked that she's interested in K-drama, for instance. You have seen it, probably she posted it on Instagram or on Twitter. Because you have in quotes, you have stalk is what's another word for stalk? What's the LD way to stalk a lady? What's that word? What's the word? Stalk is the only thing that is stuck in my head.
Someone said close marking.
Yes, thank you so much, Wendy. I think I think close marking is what I'm looking for. The way you close as guys close mark ladies. I don't know if ladies close mark guys shall, but let me just pause on that conversation so I will not I will not carry you to where me and you don't know. But just like you as an Odogu, you are seeing you at Chalugo. You are close marking now. You know our office, you go and buy our office space. That's the way you as a technical recruiter, especially someone who is not working as a technical recruiter yet. That's how you should get some. You should have them listed out. Pin their career pages to your tab, to your Safari tab. If you use an iPhone, to your Google Chrome tab. If it's an Android you use or whatever tab you use, pin it so that almost every day you are checking it. Switch on their job alert on LinkedIn. Have those companies you target. And I don't know if I'm seeing some, yes, keeping track. Wele is Wele. I don't know about Wele. Wele is like not attack the person and kill the person. So yeah, nobody should Wele my company. I beg you. But yeah, at least I have a sense that you guys understand what I'm trying to say. This life, things really happen by accident. Really happen by accident. Many times, success is like they typically say, success is when opportunity meets preparation, right? So you have to be intentional about those companies, list them out, and like I don't know if it's in. I think I mentioned it at some point in my slide, but technical recruitment is not limited to tech companies alone. There are some banks that hire technical recruiters because they have apps. You have GT app, GT World, you have Sterling app, you have Wema. I'm not sure Wema. You have Access app. It's software engineers that create this app, and of course, we need technical recruiters to hire for those guys. So banks hire technical recruiters. Telcos hire technical recruiters. So don't just fix your gaze only on tech companies. There are some traditional companies, non-tech companies, let me put it that way, that also hire technical recruiters. So mark those companies, like Wendy said, and then ensure that you're up to date, and then you apply. That's how you become. Because at the end of the day, if you don't get to work, your knowledge will be a waste. So that's that. So target those companies. Speak with people in those companies as well, which will take me to my next point: networking. Attend events like career fairs, community events, tech events. Just attend, network with people. Speak with people that are probably already technical recruiters, right? Speak with them, let them mentor you, let them, maybe not mentor because that word is abused these days. Let them advise you, let them guide you. There are many times there'll be people that will share opportunities with you as well. So don't live alone and die alone. Attend events, both offsite, online, on sites, attend all kinds of events, online and off sites. Engage with people. Don't say you are shy. Like I typically say, being shy is one of the things that will rob you of a whole lot of things. A whole lot of things. And shyness is one thing that you can work yourself out of. You can learn how not to be shy. You can learn how to be expressive. I'm not saying you are overly out there, but at least you are able to express yourself. Speak with people. Right? There's an art to networking. Networking is a masterclass on its own. How do you approach people? What do you say first? It's not that you get an interview. There was a story that was trending some 5 years ago or so, or four, no, should be 6 years ago, that Gandhi was asking and that was trying to compliment an interviewer and says you smell nice. For some reason, she didn't take it well. So how do I speak? That's something you should learn. How do I network? How do I reach out to people? Some folks on LinkedIn want to reach out to connect, and they're sending hello, how are you? Hi, good morning. I'd expect that the person that has time, that is working in customer, the person that is a technical recruiter is also working as a customer service on LinkedIn. That will be responding to everybody that is sending them hello. Nobody has that time. I'm not a customer. I typically tell myself, I'm not. Do you think I'm a customer service person? Just send your message, put everything in one single frame. And I'm not saying that you should not send me LinkedIn message. Please don't. I don't think I want my LinkedIn whatever. I feel guilty when I don't respond to people's messages. If you check my WhatsApp, whatever today, per time I usually have less than 10 messages, unread messages per time, usually, because I don't like leaving people's messages unread. So when I get to LinkedIn and I'm saying hi, hello, I get tired because I can't obviously respond to that. I respond hi. Next thing, ask me good afternoon. Next thing, I'll respond to that. You still asking me how am I? Don't ask me how I mean. Leave me alone. Just go straight to the point. Excuse my French. So networking, there's an art to networking. You have to learn that. Ensure that you are also in online communities. WhatsApp communities, fantastic. WhatsApp communities do a whole lot. Ensure that you're in recruiter communities, WhatsApp communities, LinkedIn communities, Telegram communities, whatever online communities that would ensure that you have access to people that are in that same field with you. In conclusion, I thought this was going to take 1 hour, but sadly it took more than 1 hour. But it's so good to have gotten to the conclusion of this topic that I'm typically very passionate about. The key takeaways is I've talked about the essential skills. And one very important thing I would mention is continuous learning. Nobody knows it all. I don't know it all. There are some people, probably even on this call, that know too many things about technical equipment, too many things about software engineering that I don't know up to date. But what will make us stand out at the end of the day is how willing we are open to learning. So nobody knows it all. Nobody, in fact, you shouldn't even compare yourself. Just learn at your pace. So continuous improvement is very, very important in succeeding as a technical recruiter. And then my final thought would be that I think I've done quite a number. I've played around HR. I've done performance management. I've built a performance management for a company from scratch. I have done L&D, of course. I've done HR institutionalization for companies. I've done what else in HR? I've said L&D. Exit management, HRIS management. I've done many aspects of HR. The only aspect of HR, or one of the few aspects of HR I've not done that I can readily remember is comp and bench. But out of the plenty aspects of HR that I have worked on, recruitment is like the most interesting, and that's because it has a very, very impactful feel to it. Like I briefly mentioned, and I wasn't saying what I thought or what I felt like saying when I raised the example that there might be some cases where the app is not working well, and customers, I mean, high value customers that are probably bringing in revenues in millions of naira, for instance, are complaining. The next thing is the management or whoever is in the top echelon will be reaching out to engineers. That's the next thing. They reach out to engineers. And then if God forbid, but usually is the case many times, if the case is the talent that they need to fix that issue is not available, the next person or the next set of people that they reach out to is who? Is recruiters. And that shows how impactful our role is. That's why I love my role. I love what I do. I love it. So please, I said this to say, number one, technical recruitment is very, very impactful. Two, if you actually want to do it, please let your heart go into it. Don't just do it because yes, I should work or it's fanciful. There was a time, I don't know if it's still trending. Everybody wants to be a technical recruiter. Good dudes that have never done recruitment at all, or I've never hired a software engineer. They just put it on LinkedIn, whatever. Technical recruitment. I'm not one that shames people. I don't do that. We are in different cases. Some put it because they just like the feel. I don't. I mean, at the end of the day, even no matter how much you shame people, they still do what they want to do. So I'm not saying that to shame anybody, but I'm just saying it that I just said that to say that apart from the hype, the feel good or the good feeling that you have from saying, "Oh, I'm a technical recruiter." Some people will say, "I'm a global technical recruiter." People that have no idea that side of Nigeria. So, like I said, I'm not trying to be sarcastic here. Like one of my very, very interesting pastors that I listen to would say, Apostle Sema, I'm not being sarcastic. I'm also not being sarcastic here. But I'm saying that to say that if you want to be a technical recruiter, know that you are signing up for a very impactful career path, and please take it with all seriousness, with all passion, with all sense of professionalism, right? Because it's actually very exciting and impactful. You can literally see, and you can tell yourself, it's my engineers that I brought that build this product. You can literally say that, but you won't be able to say that if you hired terrible engineers. If if you're asking who brought this person, you won't be able to identify with that talent. And that's why knowing your onions is very, very important. I hope I've been able to confuse you, that you can become, with this viewpoint of my head, I hope I've been able to confuse that you can become a technical recruiter. Thank you so much, guys. It's been a pleasure chatting.
Please, thank you very much, Mr. Emmanuel. Let us appreciate Mr. Emmanuel, please. I know we have a lot of questions, and let us appreciate Mr. Emmanuel. So you can either raise up your hand now to ask your question, or you can use the chat section. So let us start with Vivian. Hi, Vivian.
Hi, good evening.
Good evening, Vivian.
Thank you very much for this session. It was really impactful. So, I want to confirm, is there any certification for this technical recruiter role?
Fantastic. I knew I was going to get this question. I intentionally didn't put it in my slide so you guys could ask. No, I don't have any certification today. For me, I don't have. And many technical recruiters that I know don't have. To be honest with you, I'm not too big on certifications. Yes, they give you some edge. It's good to have the know-how and then have certification. But I would rather rate know-how any time, any day. I'll rather rate competence, or I'll rate competence over certification, right? Because some competence would open doors to you that certifications may not. Especially through referrals. How many times do you hear people that will refer people based on certification? Many times, people that refer others will refer them based on, oh, I've worked with this person and he knows the job. So I said that to say that certifications are not compulsory, both based on what I think and based on data. There's hardly any technical recruitment position that you see or vacancy you see today, and they say you must have XYZ certification. Hardly. Or even if they put it, it is very nice to have, not a must have. But I didn't now say that to say that you should not learn. I think out of what I've shared today, learning is like the bulk of what I've shared today. There are the certificates I have, or the certifications I have, they're nothing compared to the. I mean, generally now, I don't have any technical recruitment certification again. Once again, the only one that I have that is close to it is LinkedIn, whatever, LinkedIn from LinkedIn Learning. But apart from that, I don't have any technical whatever, a technical recruitment certification. But the amount of courses, blogs, and whatever that I've read is nothing compared to the few certifications I have made from LinkedIn or from Udemy. I think I have one or two from Udemy as well. And I didn't get the certification for certification case. It's just because I wanted to learn more about technical recruitment. So while you can, to wrap up your question, while you can have your certification, yes, it's not compulsory. And finally, I would rate competence over certification. Yes, you can have your certification as well, but competence over certification. Don't certify incompetence. I think I should end there. Don't certify incompetence. Thank you. Adekemi, you can
Thank
shoot.
Okay, Adekemi. Okay, I don't think Adekemi is ready. Hi, Happiness.
Oh, sorry, I was speaking. I thought I
Okay.
unmuted my mic.
There are many
Go ahead,
questions.
please.
Okay, good evening, everybody.
Please, let's make it
So,
fast. Let's make it short and fast,
yes,
please.
please. So my question is, so in the case where there's no hiring manager, now let's say there's no team, they just want to try to get people employed for that team. How do you create a very good JD? Because I know that most people would like to use ChatGPT, but then I mean it's not good to totally rely on it. So how do you create a compelling
Good. Thank
JD?
God you know. Fantastic.
Yes.
You partially answered the question. Whilst I'm a huge advocate of ChatGPT, I love ChatGPT. I use ChatGPT almost every day. I've still used it today. I advise that there is also human involvement. Involvement is not the word I'm looking for, but for the lack of that word I'm looking for lack of a better word, there should also be human involvement. And how do you do that? It's as simple as reaching out to somebody in that field that you know. And that's why one of the points we talked about is networking. Oh, please, can I get on the call with you? Or can I share this extra with you? I've developed this template for a DevOps engineer, for instance, but please, can you look through it? Person say, this whatever. Yeah. It can be as simple as this competence you're looking out for. It's not in Nigeria because there's some. I read one meme one time. I saw one meme one time that was for a tech role. It was a job advert for a tech role, and then there was this particular skill set that they put out, and then they said the successful candidate should have I think maybe 5 years. I've forgotten the exact details in that of experience with that skill set. And then the person who developed that skill set now came up and said, I just developed this stuff 3 years ago. How is it possible that it was very popular? It trended on, I think, Twitter. How is it possible that someone will have 5 years of experience I just developed 3 years ago? And that gap was only possible because most probably because the recruiter who developed that JD did not get the advice or the involvement, the input of a technical person. So apart from, to wrap up your question, apart from getting information from online, like say from tools like ChatGPT, please, as much as possible, get the involvement of someone in your network that has the technical know-how. I hope that answers your question.
Yes. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Next question. Let's make it very sharp. Let's go very fast.
Happiness.
Hello, good evening, everyone.
Good evening, Happiness.
Please, my question is, you mentioned about contacting the candidates and the panelists, especially ensuring that the candidate's time and the panelists' time are also
the work
I think. Okay,
yeah.
now some point as an HR officer in my department, I got frustrated because having done all this pre-interview calls and all that, and most candidates will not still show up. So I don't know how else I can go about this because I'm already frustrated.
Number one, I empathize with you.
Candidates will show up. They will tell you 12. 12, they will tell you, oh, they want to join, they will join. They will still not join. So I don't know how to go about it anymore.
I empathize with you. To be honest with you, if I told you that, should I say the feminine sense, so that it won't come off wrongly. But what our advice is, first, let me say that you can't, this is not completely dependent on you, right? So don't beat yourself up too much for this. One major thing that makes candidates interested in roles and that makes them show up for interview, especially tech guys, is when the company itself is somewhere they want to work with. We can come up with various excuses and all of. What I wanted to say, and I thought I shouldn't say, I will eventually say it to drive on my point. And please don't misunderstand me. I'm not saying this to brag. Please, and please. But I don't remember when a candidate has ghosted on me. I don't remember. It has happened before, but I don't remember. And that's because it doesn't typically happen. In fact, sometimes the candidate will have been waiting for 10 minutes before the call, 5 minutes before the call. I will see it and I'm like, interesting. And that's because of the type of employer brand that where I currently work has. So I said that to say that it's not entirely your fault as a recruiter. So I just said that to make you happy, right? And not just to patronize you as well. It's the reality of things. But apart from that, I think what you can do, because at the end of the day, you don't focus on what you can't control, you focus on what you can control. What you can do at the end of the day is to try as much as possible to get as many candidates as you can. Because there are sometimes some cases which may have experienced, even with the employer brand that I've talked about. This second one I've experienced it where, and I think someone also posted it in the chat box, where the candidate has accepted offer, they will eventually they will not join. Probably because they used the offer to get they used to get a pay raise in their current organization. I've experienced that one, I've experienced it well. I'll be lying to you if I didn't tell you that. Somebody, Nancy's asking for employer branding tips. Okay, so she helps. It helps. Yes, it helps. I thought you were asking for employer branding tips. I wanted to say that's another session on its own. So we talked about employer branding, which you don't have control about. The second thing which you have control about is get as many candidates in your pipeline as possible. That's my advice for you. That's what you can control. Please get as many candidates as possible. Yeah, that's the second thing. Since you already mentioned that you already many times aligned with those candidates on the time, and they had already mentioned beforehand that they were okay with it. So that's out of your control. So what you can control is get as many candidates as possible, such that if they disappoint you in terms of they don't show up for interview, or in my own case that I've experienced well, if they disappoint you by not showing up for resumption, they send you reject mail that I'm sorry, I'm not able to join again. XIV for unforeseen circumstance. That's the typical whatever. If they disappoint you in that way, at least you have candidates that are in your backup in your pipeline. So that's my advice for you. That's what you can control, to be honest. Next question, please.
Thank you.
Hi, TJ. We might not be able to answer all questions because when you just raised that, go ahead, please. So, Vivian, we've answered your question. You can put your hands down. Happiness, we've answered your question. Please put your hands down. So let's know. TJ, go ahead, please.
Yes. Okay. Thank you, Emmanuel. You have a very honest voice when you speak. Let me just go to my question. The first thing is I work in advisory, HR advisory, right? So I know a bit about recruitment. I've done 1 or 2 recruitments, but there's a difference between knowing and actually.
I have another question.
There's a difference between.
Okay, please, I want to ask.
Okay.
Sorry, so we take your question. let me get done with this
Yes.
question. So sorry.
So I feel like there's a
So
difference
sorry.
between knowing, doing a few recruitments and actually doing recruitments consistently, right? And now we're not talking about tech recruitment. You might
True.
not necessarily get roles that you want to do. I mean, you might not even work in a tech recruitment company. So how do
True.
you
True.
practice
True.
tech recruitment? It's not just learning, not just going for a training. Learning. Like, how do you practice it to a point where you have the experience that you can actually like boast off for an interview? And that's one. And number two,
Very good
one thing I
question.
find with like recruiters, I feel like maybe there's a problem there. I just want to
Sorry,
understand
can I
where
answer a
does
question? Sorry, let me answer. Need let me answer as you ask them, so I don't forget. First question:
okay.
practice, practice, practice. Two ways to practice. Number one, just practice. Come up with rules in your head. Oh, I want to hire for a DevOps. With just go online. Vacancy for DevOps. You will see vacancies. You will see JDs. Use it to source. That's where sourcing comes into play. Source online, and I've listed some platforms. IIZ, like I mentioned, I want this to be as practical as possible. And I mentioned three platforms: IIZ, Recruit EM, Recruit M. Those are two platforms that are free of charge. Use that. Learn. You can learn about how to use them online, maybe YouTube, or like I mentioned, there'll be a training after. There should be a training where this should be taught in depth. So just practicalize for roles that are non-existent. That's one. Two, there might be some guys in some fellow HR professionals in your network that have recruitment needs. Many of us on WhatsApp platforms where they post this. So I'm looking for a Golang developer. I'm looking for XYZ. You can run your search and send to the person that, oh, these are some referrals for the role. I sourced this for you. I've done it for 1, 2 recruiters before that actually those actually reached out to me that help them with candidates. So I've done that before. So nobody will arrest you for that. You might not get paid for it, but that's an experience that you can tell or talk about, especially if you don't have, and this is a very important question you ask, especially if you don't currently have an opportunity to actually recruit for tech roles and you are looking out for it. So these are things you can do and put in your CV. Nobody will fault you for an experience you didn't get paid for. As long as you have the experience, you have it. So those are two ways. You can just play around sourcing or work with actual recruitment needs. Three, bonus. No, this one I don't want to mention. It's special for me. So your second question, I'm giving it. It's like you are
Mention
using.
it, though.
I'm saying
Mention
no.
it, Emmanuel,
I'll think
please.
about it.
Mention
See
it. I
what I
think
do.
you've answered my second question already. It's
Yes, the
surrounds
second question.
collaboration. I realize that recruiters don't collaborate with other recruiters as much as other fields of HR. I
Okay,
can
since
just
I
put on
think
a group
I
that, oh, I
responded.
need this thing. You
Yes,
said
I
what?
think I already responded to that, right?
Yes, you already did that. So just
Fantastic,
your last point
fantastic.
I wanted to give. That third point. I
That
want to
I'll
hear
think
it.
about it.
Thank
You
you
need
very
to
much.
pray. If God touches my heart. So, Banky, I think you should go next. Then Wendy. Then, oh, who was the person who spoke now? That she had another question. I think we should just take your
That's
question.
Vivian. That's Vivian. Vivian.
Okay, we'll take Vivian last. That's if Alfred allows. Alfred is the moderator. Alfred, over to you. Who do you want to ask that question?
Banker, please go ahead. Banker, are you there?
Okay, yeah, I'm here. Good evening, everyone. And
Yeah.
thank you, Emmanuel, for this section. So my question is, I don't know if this applies to all organization where they ask for people pay slip. They don't have a budget of the role, because I know you mentioned where full when you want a full stack, a experienced one, it should be your budget should be like 800,000. But in an organization where there's no budget, they only work with payslip. When you give them that your payslip, then that is when they can then know, okay, this is what they can offer you. Then after all the whole process, after the assessment, the first interview, the second interview, then when it's not negotiation time and the person brings you as a pay slip, and you now find out that your budget or what you want to pay, the person is already earning more than that. In that
You
situation,
are
what do
contradicting
you
yourself.
do?
So you are contradicting yourself now. So is that your budget?
Oh,
Well, maybe you can have a budget.
no, so sorry, like you don't have a budget, but the pay slip, the person's pay slip is more than what you think that you can pay or you want to
That's
pay.
what you think that you can pay. It's a budget. So let me use that to respond to your question. Except we're deceiving ourselves. So many times organizations have They might not have a documented budget, but they know that they can't. They know they can't afford say 1.5 million for a role. They know it. That's a budget. Though it's not documented. So what I would typically advise is, and I'm not negating what you're saying. No, I understand the fact that organizations don't have documented budget, which I think probably that's the way you should have put it. But up the top of their head, many times they have like a range that they can work with. It might not be documented many times. They don't have a structure, a pay structure, which is what it's called. They don't have a pay structure, but many organizations have a budget. Many organizations have a budget. Whilst they may not have a pay structure, many times they have a budget. All right. So why I don't think that even if you still want to use payslip, which we found out many times. I'd worked with an organization before where payslip was the order of the day, and I told the head of the recruitment team that I don't buy this. I can't be having sessions online where I speak and I say I don't do this, but my organization is doing it and I don't talk about it. Right. And it's not as though payslips are bad. Many organizations use payslip for good reasons. Some organizations, rather, I'm very, very careful with the choice of my words, use payslip for good reasons, but many, sadly, use it for bad reasons to lowball candidates. I still heard of one yesterday, just yesterday, and I won't mention the name of the company. Back to the context what we're talking about. Even if we still want to use payslips, I don't think there is anything that stopped that conversation from happening earlier on. Okay, we use payslip for exercise because we don't have pay structure, not because we want to lowball you, blah 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 blah. So please share. You can ask that before the process starts, and then find out. Okay, we're not able to match this, or we're not able to. I don't think, except it's something I'm not getting, and you can mention it. But I don't think, correct me if I'm wrong, that there is any logical reason that should stop that conversation from happening from the beginning. Yes, there might be maybe your guy at the top don't agree to it, but I don't think there's any logical reason. Correct me if I'm wrong. Vivian?
Yeah.
Hello. Okay.
Vivian, go ahead,
Yeah.
please.
So I want to ask, how do I get my first tech recruitment job?
By applying.
But I don't have. Okay, what if I don't have any experience? Yes, I'm a recruiter, but I've not recruited for a tech role before.
How did you think I got my first tech experience job?
And that was why that was why I asked, so that
No,
you
how
could
do you
tell
think?
us
How
how
do you
you
think?
got.
I'm just asking, how do you think?
Maybe by referral.
Nope, I didn't get it by referral. I got it by applying.
Okay.
But the question now would be, how do I stand out? Or how do I convince recruiters that I deserve to be given a shot, even though I don't have an experience? Is that a better way to ask the question?
Yes.
So what you can do, I've mentioned one of it already, which is off the question that was asked. I've forgotten the name of the guy who asked it. Practicalize it already. Even though you are not currently a technical recruiter, you don't have any role. 2 ways to easily practicalize it. Number one, work on abstract rules. Just today, I want to source for cybersecurity professionals, cybersecurity engineers in Turkey, in Spain. And just run your source for this thing, source for the profiles online, and keep them. So let me tell you people this one. Especially for those who don't have a practical whatever, a job on technical recruitment at the moment. It's as simple as creating a Google folder, creating specific folders, cybersecurity engineer in Spain, source for it, and put actual profiles there. Such that when you get to an interview and then you are asked that, have you ever done blah 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 before? You can, even if you're not, in fact, you should not even be asked before you say it. Like, I've actually sourced for these roles before, XYZ blah 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 blah. And this, I can share my screen to show you some of the profiles that I got when I sourced for it. So sort across various roles, and I've mentioned some platforms, Recruit, I've mentioned IRZ as well. Sort across these platforms. and put those profiles in there, such that if you're asked to show evidence, you can prove it. And these are tips. I wish I weren't saying these things in a free class, but I sadly am.
I understand, because this is meant, you're meant to attend a paid class for this right now. So Vivian, please check the chat section and sign up for
So I
the
think I can just stop
training.
there because there's another bit that I should mention, but let me just stop
Yeah,
at that. I
because
think even if you do that alone, that's enough for you.
that's enough here. Wendy, the last question, please, before I just address us for like 1 or 2 minutes. Wendy, please shoot the last question.
Okay, it's not really a question. I want to contribute something. You see all these things Emmanuel mentioned under application review and screening. I do all that. The problem with all these things are organizations, especially one-man businesses. They can frustrate you. You begin to think if there's something wrong with you. You understand? I do all these things. I do pre-screening calls, and especially when you get to this buying something as small as water for candidates, you do these things, and your employers are looking at you like something is wrong with you. And it's at a point I started feeling like something was wrong with me. Why am I different from other HR personnel? Because I'm an empath. I don't just want to just come and do things anyhow. I want to do things the way it should be done, regardless of how they've been doing it for a very long time. But employers look at me and like something is wrong with me. Am I Mother Christmas and all that? So now that you've mentioned all those things, I've come to understand that there's nothing wrong with me. Really.
Fantastic. Love that.
Do you understand? I have come to
Yes.
understand that there's nothing wrong with me. This is how things should be
Yes,
done.
very important point that you just mentioned, and it happens. So what many of the things I've mentioned and I've said are the ideals. Many organizations, you don't have the ideal because of people, and like she mentioned, one-man businesses. Oh my goodness, you can be like you can literally be frustrated, like literally be frustrated. So it's very good, actually, so that such that you are not faced with a context and it looks like, oh, these trainings that they told us, those things are lies. No, you are not the problem. Many times the problem is from top. And I think the only bit I'll add to that is document as much as possible. Say for instance, the hiring manager, you've done a kickoff call with the hiring manager, and then they say, I'm looking for a candidate, a .NET whatever, and the person should be experienced with XYZ framework. And then you have documented that and you have shared with them. This is what you said. If the person comes back later and changes whatever they said, maybe because the management has identified a different need, or the management communicated something differently to them, and then they were the ones who didn't get the right communication from management. Then they now want to push it under HR for HR to bear the brunt.
Thank you very much.
Exactly. This is not what we agreed. This is documents that you signed up on. This is what you told me, right? So I think documentation will be one of the things that we can use.
All right.
To
I want to
sort of
also mention another thing concerning what Vivian said. Vivian, if candidates are not turning up for interviews or something, check your organization. The organization is doing something wrong. They must have googled your company and they must have found out that your company is not a good organization to work with. I have an example. I had that experience. I worked with a company for just 1 month, and that 1 month I worked with them, I looked for front desks for them. I invited up to like 15 front desks in just 1 week, and none of them showed up. 15 front desks, none of them showed up. Guess what? They will go and Google that organization. They will go and Google that organization and find out reviews that ex-employees or friends of ex-employees are dropping about that organization. 2, what does your company has to offer? If you have a website, state there, go there and state what your company has to offer. There's something called employee value proposition. What does an employee get to gain if the employee joins you? What are the benefits? Do you do promotion? There should be employee retention benefits amongst other things. Those are the things that attract top talent. Okay, happiness. That's just what I want to mention. Another thing I want to mention again, please, most HRs do this. You harass your candidates while interviewing them. You don't harass your candidates. You are supposed to put them in a position, because for people, when they're being interviewed, it happens for me. So when you are being interviewed, they are tense. You're supposed to put them in a position where they will be free to answer questions. So don't harass them at all. It's not good. That's just what I want to mention.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. Alfred, are we taking any more questions?
No, that's all. That's all. So we
Okay,
have
let me
less
just do
than
a final.
we have
Note.
we have less than we have less than 2 minutes to leave. Thank you very much, Mr. Emmanuel, and thank you everyone for
Yes.
joining this section.
Okay,
It has been a great. Okay, that's
within 20-30 seconds. Another
okay.
very important point on how to become a tech recruiter, which I intentionally didn't put in my slide because I wanted to specifically mention it, is patience. Patience is a strategy. It is a strategy, right? In fact, across almost everything that you want to achieve in life, you have to be patient. So you might put all these things that I've talked about into practice, and then it's still taking you weeks, sometimes months, to actually eventually land what you're looking for. Please always remember that patience is a strategy. So please hang in there, don't throw in the towel. At the end of the day, we would eventually have the opportunity to drive the type of impact I want to have as technical recruiters. Thank you so much, guys. It's been an absolute pleasure speaking with you.
Thank
Emmanuel, on your contacts, how can we reach out to you? Maybe
LinkedIn. Alfred, please can you share my LinkedIn with?
I'm gonna share right now.
I've been raising my hand and nobody is even asking me if I have a question. Is it because my name is hard to pronounce?
Oh, really? No, so
I can get the questions later, or probably you reach out to me via LinkedIn. I need to
LinkedIn, yeah. So I'm sending his name right now, so you can we can connect with him on LinkedIn, and you can ask your question. And aside that, right now you can also still okay. So that's it. And Emmanuel is one of our lead trainer for our technical recruiter training starting in April. So he's one of our lead trainer that will be facilitating and be training you. So please, your hand is still up, but you can reach out to Emmanuel via his LinkedIn page, and then we can ask your question directly. Or when you join the class group and you join the training, you can get to meet with Emmanuel one-on-one. By so doing, you get to communicate and ask your question. So our technical recruiter training is designed to equip participants with the skills and knowledge required to successfully hire and manage talent in both Africa and international markets. And by the end of the 5 weeks program, every participant will be able to understand a technical recruitment life cycle, including sourcing, screening, hiring professional across various tech fields, such as software engineering, AI, data science, cybersecurity, product management, cloud engineering, and a lot of things. So this is the breakdown of the curriculum, which is quite very, very robust. You won't be coding in the course of the training, but you'll be learning all these things about coding, coding, product management, technical product management, data analytics, and a lot of things regards to technical recruitment. I will tell you for free, if you sign up for the training, you would be able to interview, or you would be able to communicate very well with tech professionals, because in the course of the training, we're going to teach you hands-on practical ways in order to be able to analyze these people profile. What are the key terminologies? What are the key language, the jargons you should look out? You should look out for in the course of your recruitment processes and the like. So it's quite very intensive, hands-on practical intensive training that runs for 5 weekends, strictly Saturdays and Sundays. Saturday 12 to 3 Nigerian time, Sunday 2 to 5. And apparently we are currently offering each and every one on the call a discount right now. So it's a 100k training, and in Kenya you'll be paying 8,405 Kenya shillings. And we're saying, because you're on the call right now, we're offering you a discount. Instead of paying 100k, you can pay 80k, and instead of paying this amount in Kenya, we'll also be giving you an amazing discount. So I've sent a message to the in chat in call message section, the chat section, so you can check the link to either join the class group or learn more about the training. And the discount is only available for the first 5 people who pay before April 5th. So I would like each and every one of us to go to the pin message in the tag section, click on the class group and join the class group today. So in the course of the training, you will get to connect with Emmanuel one-on-one. In the course of the training, you will get to meet with other people because Emmanuel is one of the lead trainer and there's also another lead trainer going forward. And Vivian, I'm also looking forward to seeing you in class because the goal is the training is this. The training is designed to equip you with tools, skills, and knowledge to start and to advance and to be successful as a tech recruiter. And it's strictly hands-on. It's strictly hands-on, and it's practical intensive. And the way we validate your knowledge is by giving you a robust tasks and projects to work on. And there is also a scheme at the end of the training that helps you to build your portfolio. So what this means is that by the time you're going to meet by the time you're looking for technical recruitment roles, you looking for technical recruiters roles at different organizations, you can show them portfolios of what you've done as a technical recruiter before, and you're going to be identifying with us as an organization that you have taken your training with and also gone through the tax-based internship scheme. So I would like you to check the intern section, join the class group, and let's get started regards to the training. So I know we've exhausted, like we've stayed more than 2 hours now. This is like 2 hours 25 minutes, and I know a lot of us we still have a lot of questions to ask. So please, you can go online, join the chat section and ask your question there, or you can sign up. We get your email and your phone number, so we can also reach out to you and you can ask your question via the call. I think that's it. I think that's it. But do we have anyone, maybe just one person that would like to ask any question regards to the technical recruitment training? Anyone? Classes are live and recorded. Live and recorded. Do we have anyone that would like to ask a question regards to the training? Okay, no one. So like I said, check the chat section. You would see the pin message there, so you can join the class group right now. We are offering you a discount. The discount will end soon. So thank you everyone for joining. I'm sending the message again right now to the group so that you can click and join right now. So I'm sending the chat. Send it right now to the chat rather, to the chat. It's a new message so you can click and join. So thank you everyone. Please be ready for my question, Mr. Emmanuel. I think yeah, is very much available. So thank you everyone for joining to this section. I will send the recordings to us soon so that you can watch the recordings over and over, and our team will call you also soon to get feedback regards to this masterclass and to know how we can make the master class a more engaging and more insightful section going forward. So thank you, and I wish you happy holidays.